My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Polite Society. And this movie has a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, but nobody saw it, nobody's talking about it, so I gave it a try, and unfortunately, it's just not good. Which is really frustrating because I loved some elements of this movie. In fact, you know what? Let's begin talking about the cast because Priya Kansara is the star of this movie and she's fantastic. She carries this movie incredibly well. She has excellent comedic timing. She's filled with charisma and personality, and man, I really hope she gets some more roles soon in movies because I was really impressed by her here. Then we've got Ritu Arya, who is very good at the start of this movie, but as the movie progresses, she becomes less interesting and she just doesn't have a lot to work with by the end. I still thought she showed lots of promise at the start. You've got Serafina B, who I thought did a perfectly fine job. You've got Ella Broccoli, not broccoli, broccoli. I'm not good with pronouncing names, but I thought she was actually a very funny, very memorable side character. Then you've got Shauna Babani, who was not bad, but not good either. You've got Aksha Kahana, who I thought did a pretty good job when he played the straight man, but when his performance gets a bit more over the top in the end, I didn't think he was good. And then we've got Nimwa Buka, who I thought was very bad. Yeah, not a fan of her performance. So, not every performance was great, but man, Priya just carries this movie so perfectly and she just brings it to life. And this movie is directed by Nida Manzu, and I thought her directing was very hit or miss. She definitely does try to give this movie a personality. It's very stylish, but it also feels completely redundant of other people's styles, especially Edgar Wright. You know, maybe I'm just toned off from that kind of filmmaking entirely, but there was this one movie that came out on Amazon Prime a few years ago called Get Duped, and everybody loved that movie, and I could not tolerate it. The entire time, I'm just like, this is just a ripoff of Edgar Wright. And Nita does a fine job here, but it just didn't feel like a fresh voice. I also thought some of the editing was very jumpy and not in a good way, and the fight scenes in this movie are terrible. Just terrible. And then we get to the story, and look, I legitimately loved the first 30 minutes of this movie. I liked the characters, I thought it set up the plot very well, and it was very funny. There was one moment at a gym where they have to sneak into the men's locker room, which was hilarious. But then shortly after that scene, the movie just kinda gets less interesting. It devolves as it progresses, and it just ends up feeling like an extended sitcom episode. Like, this whole plot of her sister is getting married to a guy she doesn't like, so she wants to sabotage it. It's a plot that has been done so many times before. My Best Friend's Wedding, BoJack Horseman season 1 episode. There's plenty of shows and movies that have done it, and it just sucks because I thought the movie had potential to be more than that. That it could have been a fresh new story with a fresh new perspective, and it just felt cliche by the end. And then there's a direction this movie takes in the last act. And I'm sure some people are going to watch this movie and be like, oh my goodness, that was so ridiculous and insane and I loved it. But, and usually that would be me, but not here, for one reason. And it's because it doesn't lean into the insanity enough. There is something that comes out of nowhere with this movie. And I love the idea of it, but also it's just kind of mentioned and just vanishes. Like, it's just like you introduce the super over the top, goofy plot twist, and you just did nothing. So, the ending of this movie really did not work for me. It's too stupid to be taken seriously, but it's not stupid enough to have fun. This movie's like an hour and 44 minutes long, but I'm gonna be honest, it felt 20 minutes too long. The pacing is really bad. The main character of this movie doesn't grow. She doesn't have a complete character arc, and everything the movie is saying at the end, I just think is ill-informed. I really would have liked if if the movie recognized how flawed the main character was, and look, I have to address it, but whenever you have a movie starring females and they're kicking ass, sometimes you can buy into it, other times you can't, and man, I just did not heal. I already said the action was terribly directed, but there is one scene at the end of this movie where this guy gets kicked by a girl and he reacts in so much pain, and I'm just like, really? No, I just do not buy it. But Polite Society is frustrating because I loved the first hour. It had personality, it was funny, and I thought Priya Kinsella did a really good job. But the movie just lets her down. The longer it goes on for, the more cliche and the more bland it gets, until an ending that just didn't work for me, unfortunately. So I'll give Polite Society a 4 out of 10. Okay, have you seen Polite Society? What did you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos soon. And Gavin, out.